Welcome back. This is 804 The Culture. Now, listen, if you're listening to this show if you're catching these clips on Instagram, make sure you go over to the YouTube page to The Culture, The Collective, okay? It's important that you go to The Culture Collective, you subscribe to the platform. Instagram, we just give you the clips, okay? But you need to go over so you can see the full episode here with Richmond City's former mayor and potentially the next lieutenant governor of Virginia, Levar Stoney. By the way, I'm Randy Wilson. I'm super excited to be here today at the Creative Playground. You need to go check out this spot, all right? What's the address again? 715 East 4th Street. This is Richmond, Virginia, South Side. I mean, when you come up in here, like, we at the Creative Playground, and you got CEO studios, you got, like, different spots within this place. I mean, you could shoot a movie in here. You can have an event. You can have a party. You can shoot a podcast. There's a lot of things that you can do. So come in here, ask for Sharon, check out this great venue because you're going to see all kinds of really cool things that, could possibly be, what you're looking for. Today, the man of the hour, or 40 minutes-ish, we'll say, is our great friend, Levar Stoney. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? Long time.
Too long, man. You busy? You busy?
Just a little bit.
I see you all over the state,
2025 has kept me busy.
Good.
Kept me busy, so yeah.
Good.
A little busy.
We're gonna keep it focused on Lieutenant Governor stuff today.
Okay.
Because that's the task at hand.
That's what I've been working on every day since I left the office of the mayor on December 31st. And it has taken me to places, all across the Commonwealth. It's good to get out and see people, listen to people, and seeing what they're struggling with right now. 2025 has been, let's just say, it's brought a feeling of uncertainty.
Oh, for sure it has.
To so many.
It has. And particularly with our audience base. Okay, again, 804 The Culture, we believe that we are a podcast for the culture, from the culture. So we've tapped in to get questions from Black and brown people, LGBTQ folks, people from marginalized communities. So a lot of our questions today are tailored toward a demographic that we believe that has an impact in changing the history, the future of Virginia through this election. And a lot of people, I feel like, are casting their vote in your direction. And we got a primary coming up, if I'm correct.
That's right. We got a primary on June 17th.
June 17th.
People start voting on May 2nd.
Okay, so it's right around the corner, guys. Y'all need to tune in, and hopefully this interview can contribute to how you make your decision in casting your vote. Let me get right off here. You've been mayor. You've been on the national radar. You're stepping into an even bigger lane now with lieutenant governor. Why?
Well, for 8 years as mayor, I saw the gaps between the Commonwealth in terms of funding and in terms of policy, and when there are those gaps, it's left to localities like Richmond, cities and counties to sort of like fill in the gaps. And so I'm running for lieutenant governor because I believe, number one, we need an advocate for local governments. Number two, I also believe that we need someone who's willing to stand up for working class people, particularly in a time where Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing their damnness to dismantle our federal government and dismantle the entire ecosystem that supports a lot of those individuals who are underserved. And so I want to ensure that people in this state get a fair shot at success. I don't care the color of your skin, who you pray to, who you love, how much money you may have. Hell, I don't even care who you vote for. You deserve a fair shot. And right now, they're not getting that from Glenn Youngkin, from Winsome Sears, or for Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
There's a lot of Virginians that know you because you're making your rounds. There's a lot. I mean, you've been Secretary of the Commonwealth. Yep. You've been the mayor, obviously, for 8 years. You went to JMU, correct?
Go Dukes.
You from the Tidewater area, but spent a lot of time in so you've made your rounds. So a lot of people know you. I'm sure that you're meeting people who may have not been familiar with you.
Very true.
Tell all of us something about you that people really don't know about you that they probably are beginning to see or are gonna learn over the next couple months here.
What I experience a lot of times is people assume that when they meet me that I went to some sort of private school, or I went to born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and so I have to on a regular basis remind them that I'm just a kid born to a couple of unwed teenagers. My mother was 16, my father was 18 when I was born. I had the blessing of having my grandmother intervene in my life. When I mean by intervene, she raised me. And if it wasn't for this woman who, raised me on her Social Security check, I wouldn't be who I am today. I had a father who had some trouble with the law, who, made some serious sacrifices so I can have the life I have today. I owe my life, my career, my blessings to these two individuals, Mary Stoney and Marvin Stoney. And no, they never graduated from high school. You would never see them in a room with people who have wealth or resources, but that's who I am. At my core, that's who I am. And that's what I've used as my guidance in government over the last 10 years.
So last time we talked publicly, you was leaving the mayor seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been out of that role now for 3 months. We're in April now, right?
Yeah, 3 months.
Full,
over 90 days.
Yeah, over 90 days.
Yeah.
Has there been anything that you've learned about yourself post-mayor that is preparing you and helping you for this next potential role?
When I'm out, whether I'm still here in the city or out and about throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia, people want to still greet me as the mayor, and I always correct them and say Levar, because that's who I am. I'm Levar. I was going to be Levar before the mayoralty. I'm Levar after the mayoralty. Mayor is just a moment in my life. It's just 8 years. It's a title that I held. It's nothing permanent. It's just a job that I did. And so I always want to remind people that, I'm still the guy who I was before I was mayor. Have I grown? Without a doubt. Have I gotten a little grayer? Yes, I have. Have I become wiser about, my city, my state, the people who are engaged in the civic process? Without a doubt. But at the end of the day, I'm still just a kid born to a couple teenagers who I'm doing everything I can for the kids who are left out, who are forgotten, who are considered the underdogs. And I've learned that if I use that as my guide, it keeps me centered. It reminds me that why I'm in this work of government and public service. And to me, it's refreshing now to not have to, for 8 years, I'll admit I had trouble sleeping sometimes at night because it's a difficult job that brings a certain amount of stress that, I can't even articulate to you what it means. And when, my friend Tim Kaine comments in the Washington Post that, Levar has aged on the job. Yeah, I have. And it's good now to be able to sit back, enjoy my family, enjoy my work on the trail, and not have to, worry about, sleepless nights. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Relax.
Yeah. Some people see me nowadays and they say, man, you look refreshed. You look, like you've been sleeping. And I was like, well, guess what? I have. And the amount of stress, and when people always say like, well, you saw President Obama when he became president, when he left, what he looked like. And I was like, these executive roles, whether it's president, governor, or mayor, they do age you.
I mean, you're not interested in Just for Men or maybe getting some of DJ Khaled's like.
Let me tell you what happened. I was at my barbershop, Dave's Barbershop on North 18th Street.
Shout out Dave.
Shout out Dave's Barbershop. Kevin Allen, that's my guy. I've been going there for 15 years plus, and I was about to get my beard cut off, right? Because that's my game face that people say, you put your game face on. And an elder in the community said, Mayor, stop. Before you do anything like that, I don't want you to shave your beard off. And I said, why not? He said, I'm tired of my mayor looking like a baby-faced young kid. You earned these gray hairs. You earned these white hairs. And so you wear them proudly. And so ever since then, that's been my look. That's been my look. So, yeah, my father used to use the Just for Men back in the day, and I'd be going into the bathroom. I said, what the hell is going on here in the bathroom? Be brown and black, all, he wouldn't clean the sink out. And I was like, what is going on? Everything be all stained up, towels hanging all stained. And I said, I'm not going to do that to myself. I mean, and Brandy wouldn't like it either.
No?
No, she wouldn't like it either.
Yeah, I use a little Just for Men.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I got to. My wife don't like it either, but some things we got to do for ourselves, man. I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. But I will say this, though. The reason I cut I'm bald.
Okay.
but
You are?
I'm bald.
Underneath that hat.
Yeah, it's like I got hair here.
I remember when you had hair. Maybe you didn't. I don't know.
Oh no, you
15
remember
years
that?
ago?
I've been bald since 2003, man. I've been bald, but because I didn't want to be that guy to hold on to something that I didn't have.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
You know, brothers be holding on too long sometimes.
Too many of them. We'll do a whole episode on that.
They be holding on too long. And also, I don't want to go to the barber shop and get, no, I don't want to do that either. Because someone touched, oh man, I got stuff on my head. No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
No.
All right, we'll see. We'll come back to that though. I don't know, man.
No. It's not gonna happen.
Brandy, can we? What do you think?
I would shave it off before I actually go and
see. My wife hates that. Oh, when I shave clean face, I ain't gonna tell you what she said.
You do look like a 20-something when you do that.
She go like she thinks I look mean. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to distract the depth, the lines in your face, and yeah, she don't feel like any grown man should be walking around out here with no hair on their face. She basically think I look like a pedophile. Wow. But we'll move on. We'll keep moving. Moving. So I want you to just keep it straight a buck on this one right here. Mm-hmm. This is a question from the community. Bottom line, what can you do for give me a high level of what you can do for as far as bringing resources to these marginalized communities in your seat as Lieutenant Governor?
Well, number one, my job will be to point out the disparities that still occur in the state. And for those who believe that, we've erased disparities, well, we got another thing coming.
Yeah.
The disparities are still there. And, a lot of times during the pandemic, people thought that the pandemic created the disparities. No, the disparities have always lived with us. Sometimes we are just, we don't want to realize it, that yes, someone across town who lives in Southside, in Short Pump, they live in a different life, right? And sometimes you got to call that out as a leader. For me, I think I'm gonna when I'm the lieutenant governor, I'm gonna begin with focusing on the fact that 1 million people live in the Commonwealth today, and over half of them pay more than a third of their annual income on housing costs. And to me, housing is the foundation of your economic state, right? And if you're paying a third of your annual income on housing, then you don't have enough money for the groceries. You don't have enough money for daycare, childcare, to clothe your family, to do anything, to move. Think about that. If you're paying a third of your annual income on housing costs, you can't even move anywhere for better economic opportunity. You are essentially stuck. And so I'm a big believer that not only do I believe that government needs to make investment in more housing, making more affordable for folks, but also we need to unlock housing supply as well and build more housing in Virginia, in all levels of housing. Yes, we need to build and concentrate on affordable housing, but we need to build all levels of housing so we can provide more economic mobility for a lot of people. Number two, education is a priority of mine. You saw what I did as mayor. We increased funding by nearly 60%. If you know what the school system in Richmond looks like, more than 75% of those who attend Richmond Public Schools are on free and reduced lunch, qualify for free and reduced lunch. Kids like myself when I was a kid. And so I want to focus on getting more investment into localities like Richmond who have a high amount of a large population of those kids living under the poverty line, struggling with the challenges of poverty. Right now, we don't do that in the Commonwealth. We, here and there, we use the at-risk add-on. We have a formula that doesn't really, target or prioritize school systems like Richmond Public Schools. And I think that's where we got to start. Those two things right there, education and housing, are foundational to one's opportunity to rise in the Commonwealth of Virginia. If you are at the bottom there, then you're going to have a hard time digging yourself out of that ditch. That's what we have to focus on.
I don't think that, I think this question is going to be somewhat educational for constituents, because I don't think a lot of people understand the role of a lieutenant governor. So can you explain to people what the lieutenant governor's role looks like in Virginia?
So some would say that the job of lieutenant governor is largely ceremonial, right? You will serve as the president of the Senate, so the presiding officer. You, in case there's a tie 2020, in the Senate, you break the tie. And if the governor were to die in office, you would replace the governor. Those are the three, you know, main roles of the lieutenant governor. And then there's some statutory roles, responsibilities such as serving on the board of the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, serving on the Virginia Rural Center Board as well, the tourism board. You're serving on a bunch of boards and commissions outside of that. Otherwise, it's all duties assigned by the governor. So the governor can assign you a project. The project I would want my line of work, my body of work I want to work on is on housing. I just believe that it's foundational. Also, I want to travel to every locality in Virginia and talk about the need for our kids to have the best, have an education system with no dead ends. Right now, no matter where you enter into our public education system, there's a possibility you might meet a dead end. We need to create a system that has no dead ends. That must be our North Star. And so the job is largely ceremonial. It is considered a part-time role. And so showing up has to be a chief responsibility. And number two, speaking truth to power. That's what I plan to do. That's what I did as mayor. That's what I'll do as lieutenant governor.
Thank you. Education in urban, you spoke a lot about education. Education in urban and rural Virginia is still uneven. What bold moves can you make to help fix that?
Well, number one, you've seen the governor veto legislation that would allow for states, for localities to increase the sales tax by 1% to put towards the construction of new facilities. If you look at the facilities in rural Virginia and the facilities in urban Virginia, you will know that they're all old, sometimes a century old. And some of these localities can't afford to finance the construction of new schools. And so the Commonwealth can step in and give that ability to these localities. Unfortunately, Governor Youngkin has vetoed that on many occasions, these last couple years. And that's something I will champion as the next lieutenant governor. And I think that's something that, you'd want to see Governor Abigail Spanberger sign. That's number one. Number two, as I spoke about earlier, the poor school systems in this state are in rural Virginia and urban Virginia. That's something that we share. When I think about the values that urban Virginia and rural Virginia share, is that number one, our kids are our greatest asset, and every parent in rural Virginia, whether you're in Smith County or if you're in Brunswick County, you, just like the families in Richmond or in Petersburg, believe that you want your kids to be successful. Well, I want your kids to be successful. I want my child to be successful. I want your child to be successful. That means funding has to be there. And a lot of times, these counties, these cities can't afford to fund public education at a high level because people unfortunately have voted with their feet. And the number one main revenue stream is real estate taxes, right? And so if you don't have a lot of people living there or have high valued properties, then you're having a hard time funding the education that's required for them to rise up the economic ladder. And so that's where I think the Commonwealth can do a little bit more. I think we should see more. I think we should see a robust investment in public education to catch these kids up from the pandemic. Think about this. Since the pandemic, Virginia has been ranked dead last in math recovery, 41st in reading recovery, right? And it's the kids, the black and brown kids, who are suffering the most. It's the kids growing up in homes, working poor homes, that are suffering the most. So shouldn't we do everything we can, put our shoulder in this in terms of investment? Shouldn't we do everything we can to give them the sort of high dosage tutoring that allows them to get back to grade level? That's what should be the priorities. Instead, we've seen Republicans like Glenn Youngkin and Winston Sears focus on cultural issues instead of focusing on whether or not your kids can read and then they actually can do arithmetic. That's a problem for me.
You mentioned Youngkin a few times, and you've not had any problem shying away from confronting him. Do y'all have a relationship?
We're cordial. Mm-hmm. We're cordial. We have a cordial relationship. I'm respectful of the fact that he's the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. When he speaks, I know the decorum of you stand when he enters. I respect the office.
Yeah.
Do I agree with his policy positions? No, most of them I do not. And when I did agree with the governor, you saw me come out and say I agree with the governor on that. But I'll have to say he has become an acolyte of a sycophant of Donald Trump. He sold himself as someone who was going to be a common sense leader for the Commonwealth, and he's been the total opposite of that. I can't identify for you anything that would allow for one to believe that Glenn Youngkin has been consequential to the Commonwealth of Virginia. I think we need a leader that can be bold, will be bold for all Virginians, not just for a select crowd, not just for the people who voted for you, but for all Virginians. And I think Abigail Spanberger will be that leader, and that's why I look forward to teaming up with her this general election. And here's the thing: we all remember when Winsome Sears crashed our press conference after the tragic shooting in June of 2023, I believe, after the graduation at Huguenot High. And to me, that was the moment that showed me that she was not qualified to be the governor of this state. You know, we just lost 2 lives at a high school graduation. And despite what you may think about whatever your politics may lead you to think about Richmond or the kids who attend schools in Richmond, for you to crash an event after a horrific tragedy like that showed that you lacked the empathy and lacked the the know-how to be a leader of this state that is diverse. Not everybody in this state, is, part of her voting base, and she chose to stunt over being an empathetic leader, a sympathetic leader at the time. And I think that's not what we need in this very time, this very moment.
Obviously very popular in the Central Virginia area. But how do you bring people from Southwest Virginia, Northern Virginia, and Tidewater, Virginia, all to how do you bring everyone to a table here? And I mean, I see you getting endorsements like crazy from across the state, and I see you traveling. Do you are you trying to bring everyone to a neutral table, or are you just, is it about going to everyone else's table and making your presence known? Is there a strategy that you can share with us and how you kind of cultivate the state?
Well, I'm going to use the same approach that got me elected mayor of Richmond back in 2016, and that is building a broad-based coalition. So I want people to vote, to be in my corner who have different, they're on different parts of the spectrum, right? I want folks who are progressive, liberal, centrist, moderates, conservatives. I want to earn their support. I want people from different ethnic and nationalities to support my campaign. And you see that in my endorsements. You see that in the crowds and the rooms I'm able to be in across the state. And I want people from different geographic locations as well. That is the broad-based coalition I think is going to take to win this primary that features 6 candidates, so 6 choices. And I think that's also a coalition to govern as well, because at the end of the day, once all is said and done, and all the votes have been cast, whether in the primary and in the general, you have to govern after that. And it's best to set yourself up with a broad-based coalition that you can bring several people to the table that come from different walks of life, have a different journey in life, and that they can help advise you on the direction of where the Commonwealth should go. That's the best way to lead, I think.
Southwest Virginia, man, it's different. It is. I mean, it's different. I mean, because, I went to college in Southwest Virginia. It's different because you can go to Roanoke, and that's different than going to Bristol or Abingdon or Marion. You got down there yet?
Oh yeah. Let me
Abingdon.
Let me tell you what Abingdon in Washington County.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. What I hear from Democrats, because that's who I'm speaking to a lot right now, are Democrats. They're Virginians, but this is a Democratic primary, is when I go out, when I'm in Southwest Virginia, when I'm in the Shenandoah Valley, when I'm on the Northern Neck, when I'm in Southside, people say to me, well, I appreciate the fact that you are showing up here, because what we believe is that the Democratic Party doesn't doesn't see us, right? They don't know their way past Charlottesville. What I'm hearing more recently is that people are glad to find out that I know that there is more to Virginia past Short Pump, because we've been a party that has been centralized in the Crescent, Northern Virginia, Central Virginia, and Hampton Roads. And there are a lot of votes to be had in different pockets of Virginia that are, part of rural Virginia. But guess what? What I like to talk about and what I share with them is that I want to prioritize what we all share, right? We know that the cost of living is going up. We need to stop the rising cost that's affecting their cost of living, mainly around housing. Let's talk about that. We also know that their kids are falling behind with the inability to read at grade level. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the things that we share. We want our kids to be successful, and we want to be able to keep a roof over our families' heads. When you start the conversation there, I'm sure that we can find more than a middle ground.
Do you think that, Richmond's changing. We can see it changing. The Democratic Party probably has some room for improvement when it comes to messaging.
Yeah.
When you look at the Democratic Party now versus the future, do you feel like you represent the future of the Democratic Party, or do you feel like you represent the present in Virginia? Like when people are voting for you, they're voting for the future.
That's right.
The next 4 years,
That's
right? Do you feel like you're the face of that? And when I say that, do you embody what Virginians need to be casting their vote for in a leader?
Well, the party that I started...
You're a young man also.
Yeah,
so
I always remind folks, I'm 44.
Don't hurt.
Yeah, the party that I started working in some 20 years ago was a party that was more conservative than the party we know today, right? A party that at times embraced gun, wanted to be pro NRA and embraced gun rights, making it a priority versus gun safety. We have to be pro people's gun rights, but we also got to value people's lives as well. We're a party that does that now, and that's a good thing. We've progressed. But then there's people out there who believe that the party's become way too progressive in some sense. I want a party, and I'm proud of the party that we can be, a party that can center working class people like my grandmother who was living on a fixed income on her Social Security check trying to raise 2 boys, or a party that recognizes people like my father who worked multiple jobs, made a mistake, and did everything he can in terms of sacrifice to make it every day. That's the party that we got to get back to. Those are the roots of our party. And that doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice our belief that, we don't want to, we don't have to sacrifice our belief in terms of making sure that everyone's included as well, right? We can still be a big tent party that features those who are progressive, those who are liberal, and also have folks who are conservative as well. But we have to center ourselves in working people, right? Can they make it in Virginia? And if you are the party that can espouse those beliefs, you will be the party in leadership for a long period of time. That should be our North Star. And so I don't know whether that's the party of the future. Some people say that sounds like an old school party when you talk about working class people, but guess what? The vast majority of Virginians are working people, right? They're waking up every day. They're playing by the rules. And all they hope for is, I make enough money to save, do something with my family, give my kids a fair shot, right? Or if they don't even have kids, to give themselves a fair shot. That's the party that I want to see in Virginia to lead. We can be that party.
You gave some numbers a few minutes ago when we was talking about education. You know where we fare in mental health?
We're also near the bottom as well.
Yeah, it's either 48 or 46.
And a lot of states in the South are in that same range.
It seems like mental health has been a part of Youngkin's agenda. I don't know that I see how that's necessarily being executed completely. I can't speak to it. I mean, I'm in the field, I'm in the industry. I can't say that I I'm experiencing, because I think it was a part of his. I mean, it was a part of his agenda at the beginning, and he's talked a lot about it. But I don't know. I mean, we still suck. We got 3,500 private providers in Virginia that provide mental health services. 3,500, and we're still in the top 46 to 48 out of 50 states.
That's problematic.
That's
and
horrible.
It's really problematic for a person who sees their kid struggling with, the bouts of their mental health. Let me say this. I still don't believe that we've answered the call when it comes to mental health. My friend and a person who's backing my campaign, Senator Deeds, who represents Charlottesville, lost a son, right? And there was at a time a spotlight on mental health, but still, with all the effort he's put into this, it's fair to say that we still haven't answered the call.
Let me give you some feedback, though, because I've been a part of many of a conversation that he's been a part of, like within different associations that focus on mental health. And he's obviously been an advocate. But a lot of time when talking to legislators, and they're big advocates of mental health, their focus and the money is focused on reactive services, not proactive services. The private sector's goal is to keep people out of the hospital. But the money and the legislators are listening to lobbyists who are supporting these hospitals funding. So when
insurance companies,
exactly. So like it's very aggravating, and quite frankly, I don't have a personal relationship with Senator Deeds, but I'm telling you, as a community person on the outside, we talk about this like. It almost, it's like, I've taught you, you've heard me say sometimes politics get real, it's like, it's political. It's like sometimes it's just talk. And mental health, quite frankly, sometimes talking to legislators is the same way. They got to talk about what's going to help them get dollars and supporters, but that ain't coming from the private sector. That's coming from public entities that can actually fund and afford to have a lobby to support them. It's not changing anything on the ground with preventative, proactive services, not reactive. And that's a big problem. I could talk more about it, but it seems like when you have these conversations with legislators, they're not hearing that.
I agree with
you. I'm not trying to. We ain't talking about hospitals, state hospitals.
Can I just say that, just like when I talk about education, these are the building blocks of a prosperous, safe society, right? But we don't invest on the front end. Instead, we have to end up paying for it on the back end.
Yeah.
And I'm always a big believer we can invest, whether it's in public education, in our kids, or in mental health on the front end. We won't have all the costs on the back when you talk about the Department of Corrections and how much we spend as a state on that. So let's put some emphasis on the front end. There are countries around this world who do exactly that, but we don't do it here in the United States, and we certainly need to do more here in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Got it. Just got the cue here that we got to wrap up. So I got two serious questions, and then we're gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna come with the shit here at the end a little bit, right?
Okay.
All right.
I know you. Come on now.
A lot of young voters feel like the system is rigged and don't care about them. What do you say to them directly?
You know what? I'm a big believer. This has always been, because I've been in that in their shoes before, probably. But that's why I threw myself into working in politics and government, because I thought, you know what? I'd rather be at the table than on the menu.
Yeah.
And also I recognize that we can't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? One step forward is better than one step backwards. And I don't care if we take 1 inch forward. It's better than what we were the day before. And so I want young people to realize that this is the moment. This is if I was young, if I was 20 years younger, I would want to be involved right now more than because I feel like young people have the ability and the space now, because of the way technology is, to sort of shape where not only this party is going, but where this country is going in the future. And I think young people played a seminal role in this recent election. And unfortunately, many were attracted to Donald Trump, or many stayed home as well. And staying home is that's an act right there in its own right. Yeah. And so I want our party to be inclusive of younger people, because that's how I got here in the first place. when you start off at 21, 22 years old, working at the Democratic Party, knocking on doors, organizing in tough neighborhoods, getting people registered to vote, we need more people like that who want to be engaged.
Yeah.
So when people are involved, it gives me hope and optimism that we're going to be better, that there are better days to come.
Man, I got 5 things here. We're gonna be real quick with them.
Okay.
You were our first ever 804 The Culture Change Maker recipient.
That's on my wall, man.
And so we just want to kind of, first off, thank you. Thank you for bringing it off the wall.
Yeah.
You kind of set a standard, we believe, that's going to be kind of hard for people to follow.
Really?
I think so. I mean, you're the mayor.
But can I say, though, there are a bunch of change makers out there in this community, in the 804, that don't have a title, right? Not looking for titles, just out there doing the work each and every day. It's hard sometimes to find them, but you know them. You know exactly what they do. You know their deeds. And so let me know if you need some help.
Well, in saying that,
did I sign myself up for something?
Well, I'm thinking that, it may be as we focus forward through this year and we identify the next person and share, put it together an event to kind of recognize that person, maybe having you come if possible, or do some type of video or something that
I'll
can
be there.
Speak, help contribute to that. That might kind of create legacy.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And we
got my
appreciate you,
commitment.
though. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You got my number.
Yes, sir. Now, you spoke about titles. I need a title in this administration. I mean, what is my role going to be here? We've done 9 interviews.
Yes, we have.
So I mean, we need to do one on the floor.
Yeah, when we get there, I never like to put the cart before the horse, right?
Yeah.
And I believe you got to do the work. I'm going to do the work. If anyone knows me, they know that I'm not afraid of hard work. I had good examples in my household on what hard work looks like. I'm going to run this race. I'm going to run it hard, and I'm going to do the same thing in the general. And then when I win, let's talk.
You know how many? I have a lot of people that hit me up. You're the guy to interview Stoney. That's a thing.
Really?
That's a thing, man. That tells me that we got a constituent base in our following that only checks in their connection with politics to some degree on a grassroots level.
Well, I told you, I got some cats back in Hampton Roads who said they peeped our interviews in the past as well and said, so
that's good.
We got to keep on having this conversation.
We got to.
Dialogue's good.
So, lightning round, we got 3 questions and we're closing up here. What's your go-to hype song before a big event? Like, even if you win, what are you coming out to?
I do like Baby Keem, Family Ties.
Okay.
That's normally my go-to now recently.
You're a young guy.
I used to use it at my wedding. I used to use it at my wedding as well.
Yeah.
That's our coming out song.
Now, you know what that is? I don't know if I know it. Baby Keem, Family Ties?
Yeah. That, with Kendrick.
Oh, you see, I ain't a Kendrick guy. I'm a Drake guy.
I like Drake too. Drake too.
We might need to tie that music in on that.
Yeah, I like Drake too as well.
Okay.
Well, I'm equal. Like equal.
Got it. They not like us, I guess, huh? So, dinner with 3 Virginians, past or present. Who are you picking?
This is the one that got me. That when I think about questions that people may have out there, because I'm curious about some of these people.
Yeah.
That came out of Virginia, particularly those who espouse one thing in documents like, the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. But did another thing.
Yeah.
At Monticello.
Yeah.
With Sally Hemings. I'm curious about him. But would I want to have dinner with him? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? I would want to have dinner I would want to talk to Booker T. Washington, right? Because I want to hear about what he did during his time, but also I know there's some criticisms about how he went about doing that. I would sit down with Booker T. I would want to sit down with Maggie Walker. Maggie Walker was on the ticket, and she ran for statewide office. As a brother running for statewide office, how difficult it had to be, but she still did it. And also, obviously, she was the first woman to charter a bank. Yep. That's very important. I would want to speak to Oliver Hill, a legend. Yeah, a legend. He to work alongside Thurgood Marshall, to be a part of Brown v. Board, and also be elected to Richmond City Council as well. I would love to have a conversation with him.
I did an interview with one of his grandkids.
Dinner with him. Now, we're not talking about conversations.
Yeah.
We're talking about having dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, can I add someone I have not, who's alive to this day, I have not had dinner with?
Who's that?
L. Douglas Wilder.
Yeah, that's someone I would like to.
I've never had. I went. You asked for 3. I gave you 4.
Yeah.
I've gone and sat down with Govenor Wilder. My predecessor is mayor as well, but I've never broken bread with him.
Hey, can someone out there help get Douglas Wilder on the podcast?
Govenor Wilder, I know you have a reserve table at Edo Squid. Can I just come by and just break bread with you? Could we do that?
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I enjoy him.
I enjoy him as well. And
he says it how he feels, and you know,
maybe when I get to 94, I could be the same way,
yeah.
right?
You know, embarrassing. You know, I'm not a native Virginian. He spoke at my college graduation, and I didn't know the history. I didn't know.
He came to JMU when I was maybe a sophomore.
I didn't know he was black when I first met him.
He came to. I knew he was black. When he came to JMU, I asked him to sign a book for me, and I still have that book to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we converse now and again.
Mm-hmm.
I hear from him.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I hear from him on other channels and other networks, but nonetheless, I still have the utmost respect for the governor. Because
he lets you know that he wants.
Yeah, he's gonna let me know.
Yeah.
So the onus might be on me to call him.
You should do that, man.
To ask him if we can do lunch.
You need to do that, man.
We do lunch. I usually go see him and sit down with him. I want to have lunch.
You should do that.
I'm gonna have lunch.
You should do that, and then tell him to come over on the show.
Okay. All right.
Closing up. One sentence why Virginia need to vote for you. One sentence.
One sentence. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are dismantling our government, and we need someone who's willing to stand up for our people. Period.
You heard it right there. Listen, 804TheCulture. I'm Randy Wilson. You heard this interview is being brought to you from we get CEO Studios. You know where it is. What's that? Tell me again, Sharon. 715 East 4th Street. Listen, I like the naturalness of this all. People got to understand that people are on the other side.
Yeah, people on the other side,
Sometimes people think like, I'm not trying to be all prim and because I want to make sure y'all know where this is. We got to endorse the show. You gonna see lovely photography. Go ahead and shout the photographer out. Go ahead. Shout, amazing stuff, okay? So just trying to let y'all know where it is. You can find it on YouTube at The Culture Collective, all right? You can see these clips on Instagram, but go over to The Culture Collective. We got 50,000 followers now on Instagram. We're blowing up, all right? And we got some even more exciting interviews coming, so stay tuned. We out.